Welcome to Communicator, the Language Cert International ESOL B2 level spoken qualification, and it naturally focuses on the candidate's spoken skills. The exam consists of 4 parts, all of them assessing language based on practical experience and everyday English. The candidates are initially asked to share personal information, and then during the second part they are asked to participate in a situational role play. During the third part, they participate in an interactive, communicative task along with their interlocutor. Finally, they are expected to produce a long turn after they've been given a topic and some time to prepare their response. Follow-up questions conclude this last part of the exam and the spoken exam itself. The exam setup is friendly, as each candidate is examined individually, not with another candidate. The session is led by an interlocutor who does not assess the candidate and conducts the spoken exam in accordance with all Language Cert regulations. The whole session is recorded in digital format, uploaded to the Language Cert examinations platform, and then sent to a fully trained independent Language Cert assessor to be marked. Remarking is available whenever required, and the pass mark is an overall 50%. Part 1 aims to initially set the candidate at ease and elicit personal information. The first 2 questions, which aim at eliciting the candidate's name by spelling it and where he or she is from, are not assessed. However, the next questions are assessed, and the candidate will be asked between 3 and 5 more questions. Part 1 lasts 3 minutes. Part 2 requires the candidate to take part in a situational role play. The aim of this task is for the candidate to use functional language in a range of real-life, everyday situations. The candidate is presented with 2 or 3 situations, and both the interlocutor and the candidate need to produce approximately 2 terms each time. The duration of Part 2 is 3 minutes. In Part 3, the candidate and the interlocutor exchange information in order to perform a communicative task. The interlocutor informs the candidate that they are going to have a short discussion and will need to cooperate in order to reach some kind of agreement or decision, helped by some written prompts. The duration of this part is 3 minutes. The fourth part of the spoken exam aims at assessing the candidate's ability to speak about a selected topic at greater length with minimal participation by the interlocutor. The candidate is given a topic, asked to prepare a response in half a minute, and then talk about it for 2 minutes. Then a few related follow-up questions conclude the exam. This final task lasts 4 minutes. Here are a few sample questions. As already mentioned, Part 1 aims at setting the candidate at ease and eliciting personal information about him or about her. The first 2 questions, which simply elicit the spelling of the candidate's name and where he or she comes from, are not assessed. The next questions of Part 1, however, are all assessed. Here, the first assessed question relates to the area where the candidate lives, and, for instance, the question is, what do you like or dislike about your area? Then the interlocutor will proceed with a second question, taken from a second set, which in our case here relates to photography, and the question is, why do people keep photos of their own lives? The interlocutor goes on with a third question from the third set, and depending on the time left for this part of the spoken exam, might ask a fourth and a fifth question from the fourth and fifth set. The duration of this part of the exam is 3 minutes. Part 2 requires the candidate to take part in a situational role play. He or she will be asked to take part in 2 or 3 situations. Both the candidate and the interlocutor need to produce approximately 2 turns during each situation. The interlocutor chooses a situation from a set, reads it out to the candidate, and the candidate responds to it. Here we can see an example where the interlocutor sets the following situation. I'm your new teacher. We're waiting for one of your classmates to arrive. He is late. I start. Is he always late? The interlocutor initiates the situation, and both the candidate and the interlocutor need to produce approximately 2 turns, as already mentioned. Then, the interlocutor provides a second situation, where this time it is the candidate who has to start. An example of the type of situation initiated by the candidate this time might be similar to this one. We're friends. You've invited me to the theatre tomorrow, but I haven't answered. You start. Here again, both the candidate and the interlocutor need to produce approximately 2 turns. If there's time left, the interlocutor may present a third situation, which might be taken from the first set or from the second set of situations. The duration of this second part of the spoken exam is 3 minutes. In the third part of the spoken exam, the candidate and the interlocutor need to exchange information to perform an everyday task. The candidate in particular needs to reflect and suggest some plans and arrangements to reach an agreement with the interlocutor, and also take the initiative to challenge the interlocutor's suggestions. Here, they are asked to talk about the kind of leisure centre they would like to have in their town, and express their views to the local authorities. Each one of them is provided with a task sheet with some prompts. The task sheets are similar but not identical. The candidate is given 20 seconds to prepare his or her response and start when ready. The duration of this part is 3 minutes. The last part of the spoken exam, part 4, is a long turn and assesses the candidate's ability to speak at greater length with minimal participation by the interlocutor. The interlocutor chooses a topic. Here, one of the topics asks the candidate to talk about his or her ideal home. The candidate is provided with a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil, and also 30 seconds for preparation. The duration of the long turn needs to be 2 minutes. Related follow-up questions, up to 4, will conclude this part and the spoken exam itself. The related follow-up questions could be questions similar to these ones. Which would be the most important factors when choosing your ideal home? Why do you think people didn't care so much about decoration in the past? The overall duration of this fourth part of the spoken exam is 4 minutes. You can find more information about our spoken exam in our qualification handbook on our website. Candidates are assessed in terms of 4 criteria. Task fulfillment and coherence, that is, the candidate's ability to manage the tasks adequately for the level and link the utterances into coherent speech. accuracy and range of grammar. In other words, the candidate's ability to demonstrate a range and control of grammar. Accuracy and range of vocabulary, which relates to his or her ability to demonstrate a range and control of vocabulary. And lastly, pronunciation, intonation and fluency, which measures the candidate's ability to connect utterances, maintain the flow, and engage in effective communicative exchanges. Candidates are awarded up to 3 marks per criterion and collect up to 12 marks. The candidate's raw score out of 12 is translated into a scaled score out of 50, and successful candidates are those who attain at least 50% of the overall scaled score, i.e. at least 25 marks out of 50. If they do exceptionally well and collect more than 34 marks, they will be awarded a high pass. Here are some pages from the Interlocutor's Questions booklet, the pages on the left, and there's the candidate's task sheet on the right. For more information on this component of the exam and for support materials, simply follow this link.